Hello everyone, welcome to this very important session, that is principles of electrosurgery. It's an important topic and I know a bit about physics, so maybe a nightmare for you, some of you. So I've tried to simplify it, and what I'm going to follow is the RCOG Basic Practical Skills course, how that defines the principles of electrosurgery. So that is what we are going to talk today in this video. So basically, how can this appear in the exam? So one way is directly a viva or directly a structured discussion about the electrosurgery, or they give you a station or so like structured discussion task about some patient who has underwent the injury because of diathermy. And because there is an injury, so now that is the debriefing station as well. So now you are being asked like how about this goes, how these injuries occurs, what are the various types. So all this information comes into play. So let's talk about this because this is one of the very favorite topic of RCG. So what does actually electrosurgery means? So basically what is there in the electrosurgery? It uses the heat to achieve the desired result, right? So basically the electrical energy, high frequency electrical energy is used and that is converted into the heat energy. Now this heat energy we use for sealing the vessels, for decreasing, to decrease the blood loss, okay? And we want to, as we suture the vessels, here we use this energy to block those vessels. So how can this work? So one thing is that you want adequate heating so that your bleeding stops. But on the other side, you want to limit your heat so that the risk is minimum, right? So there are two things here. One is you want the optimum heat where you can actually block the vessel. And on the other side, you want to minimize the risk, right? So heat should be contained in that particular area and it should be of the appropriate level. So that is the very important thing. Now, how we can achieve this? So whenever current passes through the tissues, a heating effect occurs. The amount of heat produced depends upon the tissue's resistance and the current flow's density, right? So how the tissue is performing and how the current is flowing. The more the current, more the tissue will be heated and tissue will respond to that heat in a predictable way, right? So basically what is happening, we are giving the current that is going to heat the tissue and tissue will respond to that according to how much heat is being generated there. So this whole thing is through the electrical circuits. So what happens, there is a generator that will produce the electricity and that through the diathermy equipment goes to the patient where it is converted into the heat energy. So so again it has to go back to the generator. So this type of a circuit is created and this will actually make a proper circuit for the electrosurgery. Now we all know that there are two types of things we want to do with that. One is cutting and one is coagulating. So in further slides, we will see what are the differences, how we can achieve the cutting and coagulation. So that all we are going to talk today in this video. Now, before I start going on to the depth of the physics, let's remember our basics. Electricity, electron, tiny negatively charged particles. So electrons are the tiny negatively charged particles. And when they flow, path is known as the circuit. Now, one is what is the rate of flow, which is measured in the amperes, that is the current. And what is the force of the flow, which is voltage, and we call it as volts. Why electrosurgery generators do not shock patients? Now, so when electricity passes through our body, we get a shock. So what happens? Why this electrosurgery actually do not cause the shock to the patients? Because of the higher frequencies that heat generators operate. Similarly, the radio frequency current also alternates so rapidly that the cells do not react to this current. So we use the energies of 200 kilohertz to 3.3 megahertz range. The frequency is so high, 200 kilohertz to 3.3 megahertz range. Now, because of these are well above the range where the neuromuscular stimulation or electrocution could occur. So before the body could respond, the frequency comes. So that's it. Now, what electrosurgery is doing, such as the repetition, that current and voltage is provided by the generator. Circuit passes through the patient and then tissue provides resistance and produces heat. Now, what are the factors which are going to affect this? So, tissue effect. The amount of heat and the effect on tissue depends on what is the current that is flowing through, what is the force, that is what is the voltage, what is the duration of application, how long you are applying that, modulation of flow, what type of flow you are giving to that tissue, and tissue contact, right? Whether directly in contact, whether there is slightly away, and how much area is in contact is also important. So this all, why we are reading this, because this is important to know that what type of diathermies are applicable for what applications and what we can expect and how can we safely work with the diathermy. So basically how the duration is. So duration is, you see, as the duration of the exposure increases, the temperature is increasing. So what happens? At tissue death occurs at 45 degrees centigrade and the coagulation of the proteins occur at 70 degrees. So we are basically looking for the coagulation, right? After that, there is a blanching. So there is desiccation and this is 90 degree. So we usually look at 70 to 90 degree only. We want this up to desiccation only. So that will be a white tissue. White means you are working at good temperatures. Now vaporization is 100 degrees centigrade. So at this case, the water inside the cell that boils, right? You see the bubbles. It forms the steam. So there is vaporization 100 degrees centigrade. And after that, if more heat is produced at that site, there is carbonization or the charring. So that is 200 degrees centigrade. So charring is not a good thing. We don't want that because when we are giving heat, we want the heat to penetrate to the tissue so that some amount of the tissue, whatever we are looking at, should be damaged. But what happens till the coagulation and desiccation, the heat is still getting permeated to certain level. But when we do the charring, there is a lot of resistance there and the heat remains only at that point. So black is not what we want. White is what we want. So now what happens in the modulation, right? So in modulation, there are two things we want to do: cut, coagulation, and sometimes we use the blend as well. So what is blend? In which when you are cutting, simultaneously you are coagulating as well. So cutting is only cutting. Now for cutting, when you are cutting, you need a continuous energy. So because the energy is continuous, so it has to be low voltage. Because again, it is high voltage, more heat will be generated and will burn. We don't want that. We want controlled thing. So low voltage and the unmodulated waveform is for the continuous, right? So this is very important to remember. Now, when we look at the coagulation, so in this case, you see there is a impulse coming and then it flattens out. Means for some part of the time, the current passes and for next few seconds or whatever it is, this is the current does not pass for some time, right? Again, the current passes, again it does not pass, again it passes and then it again does not pass. So now this is coagulation because at the time of coagulation, when the tissue is coagulating, you want the heat to be delivered, right? So more amount of the heat to be delivered so that adequate temperature can be given to that point and it becomes coagulated, right? So coagulation is a process where 5% energy given, 95% silent, again 5% given, 95% silent. So in between there are silent phases. Now, what happens in blend? Blend is, it is cutting plus coagulation, right? So is cutting is, you need continuous as well as you need the modulated energy. So both the things are there, right? Now it depends on like there are different types of blends. Blend one means 50% of the times it is delivering, 50% of the times it is silent. 40-60 means 40 it is delivering and 60 it is silent. So 25% cutting, 25% it is coagulating. So higher the blend number means more coagulation. So these higher numbers means that the more of the coagulation time is there, because in coagulation we need small amount of energy and large period of off. So as this off period is increasing, we are going for more coagulations. Now, what about instrumentation? So you can see the surface area here, right? This is a small surface area and this is a broad surface area. So what do we are looking at? When we are looking at the small surface area, right? Now this is the pinpoint electrode and you are placing it slightly above. You have to place it slightly above because in this small area is small, the current is coming. So it is focused on a small area. So the density of the current is more. So in that case, if you keep an electrode slightly away, a spark is produced and that spark will bring the injury. And this is leading to cutting, right? So in cutting, you don't have to bring it closer because if you bring it closer, then this will be spread over the certain area, which you don't want. So therefore, you don't want that. So you actually look at this cutting, right? So here you are cutting, you keep it slightly away and you cut it, right? Now this is the broader electrode. So broader electrode means it is spreading over a certain area. So heat is dissipating over the certain area. So that will not cut, right? That will coagulate. So that will be spreading out. So this diagram shows the effect of electricity depending on the surgical instrument electrode size. With the smaller electrode tip and there is a high current concentration, and with the broader tip, there is a low current concentration. More surface area, density reduces. This is another thing, that is power, amperes and volts. So as the current increases, the damage is high current, concentration density, the damage is more. So if the current decreases, that is damage is less. Similarly, power increases and the area increases. So when you are working with a low current, you have to increase the power to achieve that effect. And when you are working with the in a high current density, you have to decrease the power, right? Now these are the circuits, monopolar circuits. So one was monopolar circuit means that there is one electrode. And the second is the patient is going to complete the circuit. So now these were the classic things where you can see that the generator is there sending the electrical signal to the electrode and then it passes through the table and it is earth. Okay. So it is earth and it comes back. So it is coming to earth. So now in this case, what happens? Like if patients, this thing is touching on the table as well. Then instead of current flowing through, current will flow through any other lower resistance area and that will cause, and wherever it goes and wherever it leaves the body, it will cause burns. So there is risk of return injury and there could be burns for the surgeon as well as patient. Like if surgeon is touching the patient, then he can also have the burns. So therefore, instead of this isolated system was came into the vogue. So in the isolated system, a plate is attached to the patient. So now the circuit is fixed. It is not going here and there. And there is no possibility of going into the low resistance zone. So what is happening? The electrode is coming here and then it is sending to the plate and then it is coming down, right? So this becomes more safe. But again, there was a problem. If sometimes this plate is not properly attached, so patient gets a burn at the site. Okay. So now to cover up that, the split return plate was 12. Okay. Now what is in the split return plate? And there is a diathermy valve is there. It acts like a diathermy valve. So what does it mean by the diathermy valve? That if the plate is not properly attached or if it is not, the circuit is not properly completed, in that case, the generator will stop. It will not generate the electricity. So this is a valvular mechanism which has been created with the split return plate, right? Now, if there is not, the plate is not properly attached or if there is not a proper circuit formed, the generator will not work, right? So what does this, now this becomes more safe, right? So reduces the further chances of injury. Monopolar circuits, they are used in the hysteroscopic surgery and non-ionic irrigation fluid and the risk of the overload. And laparoscopic surgery, basically, they are used in the risk of the bowel injury from return of electricity to the generator. So in hysteroscopy, what they thought of, they started using the glycine because that is non-ionic, so that the energy does not go here and there. But what happened? The risk of overload was there. Laparoscopic surgery, you have to keep the instruments in your view so that you don't touch the instruments here and there and cause the injury. The other safer options are the bipolar circuits. So in bipolar circuits, the current is between the two active electrodes. So the generator, the current goes through one electrode, through the tissue, the second electrodes, and comes back. So it becomes more safer. But now again, the problem here is that if you keeps on, it's a slow process. Like, so if when you hold the tissue between the two, it slowly it damages, right? So now you have to see, if you want to increase this, you increase the power. You want it faster, you increase the power. But that should not be done. Because if you increase the power, the more energy, more heat energy will be produced here and temperatures will rise. So again, instead of desiccation and blanching, you will find charring, which is not required. I already explained that that if the charring is there, then the resistance of the tissue increases and we do not find the adequate amount of tissue that is coagulated. So what happens? Now there is safety system for that as well, because we don't want charring. So if the temperature goes above certain point, the generator will stop, right? If you want to increase the power and you are keeping it, you want it fast, you are doing various things to make it faster. But as soon as you cross that temperature, the generator will switch off and it will not produce the electric current. So therefore, with this, the safety mechanisms are incorporated in bipolar as well. Second generation methods of hemostasis are second generation bipolar circuits like ligashore and tripolar. Non-electrical methods are also used like harmonic scalpel, where instead of electricity, the sonic vibrations are used to denature the vessel wall and little healing effect is there. Now, how do these methods work? So you see, these are the probes through, in between there is a vessel. So direct co-option of the vessel wall with handpiece is there. Heat that is produced by the electrical resistance that denatures the proteins in the vessel wall. So generator responses to electrical impedance. The power output is modified to optimize hemostasis through tissue desiccation without charring. Now coming to safety points. What all we need to take care of? So lowest power and the lowest voltage to achieve the tissue effect should be used. Bipolar is more safer than monopolar. Awareness of the electrical circuit and return of electricity to generator. You should know how your things are working and whether the things are going on the right way or not. Electrode should be placed in sheath when not in use, so that it should not touch inadvertently here and there and burn the tissue. Avoid non-monopolar with the cardiac pacemaker because the current is going to flow through the patient. So you have to avoid it with the cardiac pacemaker. Return plate. Split plate is good. That should be used away from the artificial joint or away from the scar or the bony prominences. Now, what is the various types of injuries which can occur and how we can prevent them? So one is direct injury. If you just, this is your laparoscope and this is your active electrode. If you just don't take care and it touches here and there, it will directly cause the injury. So how you can save this? When you are using electrosurgical equipment during laparoscopy, you should always keep the tip of active electrode in your field of view. Next is direct coupled injury. What is this direct coupled injury? So this is laparoscope and this is active electrode. And this is the third instrument which is here, like working as a retractor, and it touches. It touches or it is near this, then the direct current can pass through it and it can cause the injury. You see the current has passed through it and it is causing injury here where it is touching the bowel. So again, you have to take care so that it remains away. And secondly, this also does not touch the other organs, right? So this is how you can prevent the direct injury, direct coupled injury. Now this is capacitance coupling. This is slightly tricky. What is happening here is that between the two conductors, one insulator is there, right? So between the two conductors, one insulator is there. You see that this is a metal cannula. So this is a conductor. This is a conductor and this is an insulator, right? When it is there, this will form the capacitor. Capacitor has a certain energy in that, right? Now, if that energy does not dissipate here and there and it remains here, then it can damage the adjacent tissues. Now, if your instrument has a metal and then there is plastic, right? So between this metal, this is insulator. So capacitor is formed. So energy is formed. But because it has a plastic collar, it is not going outside. So what will happen? The area near to this, the bowel will be damaged. While if you use a completely plastic collar, then there is insulator and conductor, right? This is insulator, and this is conductor. So the capacitor work does not happen because capacitor can only be formed between two conductors and insulator. So here it is non-conductor, insulator and conductor, so it cannot be formed, right? So here again this is conductor and insulator, but because there is no plastic here, so this can dissipate into the surrounding structure, right? So that will go off and just release. But here it is accumulated at this point. Lot of energy is accumulated. So that will lead to injury to the adjacent bowel. So what we can do, the mix of plastic and metal cannula must be strictly avoided. And only all metal or all plastic cannulas should be used. So we have seen with the all metal, the risk is not there. With all plastic, the risk is not there. But when it is plastic with metal, the risk is there. Now this is surgical smoke. So surgical smoke, when it accumulates, it causes the pure view. And also this is the risk to the theater staff. Second, sometimes the insulation failure is there. What is insulation? There is a coating over the electrical active electrode, which prevents the energy from going here and there. So if that sheath is damaged, then that becomes the insulation failure. So how can we prevent that? Smoke should be sucked during the procedure. And for insulation failure, it is important to always visually impact the protective insulation sheath on your equipment and also try to feel for any cracks in the insulation by running your fingers over your equipment. Obviously, you have to do this before starting your surgeries, right? So that is how we reduce the risk for the electrosurgery. So we can use the technology for benefit, but mitigating its all risks. Success isn't overnight. It's when every day you get a little better than before, it adds up. So that's what we keep on doing at Emergency Courses. We want to get better each day, and each day. And thank you for your support, and your feedback and your questions are always, always welcome. Thank you for your patient listening.